There he is. What's going on, man?
How we doing?
Good, good. Appreciate the time, man. Just wanted to get into the tour and talk some music with you. But I got to start by saying thank you for including that little bitty bit on the first tour ad, Matt, saying part one, letting us know that SoCal wasn't going to be ignored, that there would be a part two. And now you're finally coming to SoCal on the Blackout tour. We got you in Orange County at the Observatory on June the 8th. And you've been out there on the road for a while now on this tour, on part two of this tour.
Yeah, about well, it's been about 2.5 weeks, and we've got about 4.5 weeks to go. So
Beautiful.
yeah, it's a long one, but yeah, we wouldn't forget you guys, especially since there was such a large request, and tickets are already doing incredibly well for over there. So which is great for us because it's been a while since we've been there.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way they're going to ignore the SoCal market, but putting that little part one on there was like, aha, that means there's going to be a part two. And really cool that you brought out with you, speaking of SoCal, Point North from LA.
Yeah, man, those guys are great. They're crushing it out here. Their music's phenomenal. Good dudes. So the tour's been like, a lot of times you get on a tour and you don't know everybody until like the end of it. It was like the last like 3 days, like, oh, hey, nice to meet you, man. Good. Maybe we'll tour again in the future. This tour has been like completely different. Like we're like 3 days into the tour, everyone was just throwing down. So it's been really good.
Getting some, and we also can't forget bringing out Elijah and Eco.
Yeah. So and Fix as well. So we went kind of the independent route with the openers on it. They're all out there grinding, using the TikToks and the reels and everything to get their name out there, and they're getting some radio, starting to get some radio play here and there. Like it's really cool because as a musician, like knowing that independent grind is super sick, and to see that these artists can start pulling it off these days, utilizing tools like social media is super dope to see. So we wanted to put them on the tour and see how that translated.
Yeah, cool that you giving a hand up for someone not on the label and not doing it the traditional way, and then B, cool that it doesn't have to be done that traditional way anymore. And this
Yeah, man, it's sick. I'm just a few years too late.
And speaking of the Blackout tour, what's the music mix going to be? Is it going to be like the whole album in its entirety, or how do you split up the set? I mean, you got so many songs that you have to play from the old albums too, so it's got to be the challenge putting together the set list.
It's so tough, man. It's so tough because we always end up leaving out a couple that people really want to hear. Sometimes you throw a couple in there that people don't really know that well, but they're like the core favorites. I mean, obviously, always got to play all the singles, no matter which record it's from.
Sure.
Those are the ones that people really want to hear. But the majority of our set list is the Blackout record. That record's just been, we released it last summer, and it's still just crushing. So, there's so many people finding us because of that record. So we've got to put as much of that on this set list as we can.
Love it, man. And speaking of music, been playing on the radio, barely breathing, and really cool that you got against the current Chrissy on there, and kind of like a little paint job on that tune since she wasn't on the album, and then
Right.
and then been playing that, and then all of a sudden, One Foot in the Grave with Aaron Pauley from Of Mice and Men, and I'm going, that's not on Blackout. Tell me about that track.
Yeah, it's part of the deluxe, which drops June 7th. So, and we've got another original that's unheard and then a couple remixes as well. We've got one with Yellow Wolf that's going to be coming out. Sullivan King did a remix. It's going to be on there. So, just mixing it up. Aaron Polly, we've been trying to do something with those guys for a long time. I've been a big of Mice and Men fan,
Yeah.
since the early 2000 teens. You know what I mean? And they're one of my actual biggest inspirations into getting into like more of the metalcore style.
Ah,
So, being able to have Aaron, and Aaron, we used to be in a band called Jamie's Elsewhere, which I absolutely loved as well.
right.
And so having him on the track was so dope. Now all we need to do is just get together and actually do a tour. And
That's
that's the
what I'm
next step.
talking about. That's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about. Yeah, he recently just brought back Jamie's Elsewhere.
Oh, I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Oh,
he's
that's sick.
resurrecting that, and really cool to hear, your voice and Danny's voice along with Aaron's voice singing and screaming.
Oh yeah, dude, it's so cool, man. It's so sick. And Aaron was so fun to work with. Like he was so easy to work with.
You actually
Like
got
he
in
just
the studio?
no, we did the remote thing that everyone does now. But like we during the process, we're just talking every day. He's like, hey man, he's hit me up like, hey man, I got this idea. And I'm like, dude, just run with it. Like, let's go. Like if you got ideas and you're feeling inspired, just run with it. And one of the things that I think that people aren't really noticing in that song is one of my favorite things that he did is during my second verse rap, he actually did like little ad libs at the end of each line that are like harmonies with the song, and then they kind of just trail out and delay and reverb, and like they weren't in the original idea for the song. So like he's like, yeah, I was thinking about doing this, and he sent it over, and I was like, oh, that's sick, man. So like, getting his artist perspective on the track, and like, the way that he envisioned those different things is something that I didn't think of, in the production phase. So it was really cool to see and hear.
Yeah, I mean, and not on top of his singing and bass playing, he also does produce all the of Mice and Men stuff. So yeah, he really does bring that producer side to anything he works on.
Yeah, yeah, dude, he's all in it, bro. He's great.
And we just need that tour, man. That would be sick of Mice and Men.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Woo!
Smash the new of Mice and Men. Get a couple other good bands on there. That thing will slap, dude. That thing's gonna crush. I'm gonna say that it's gonna. I mean, we don't have it planned, so I'm not saying from knowing because it's done, but I'm just gonna say that it's gonna happen. Let's put it out there.
Put it out in the universe. Hey, and speaking of collabs and the Blackout, dude, got to give a shout out. Probably my favorite tune on the Blackout album, "Until We Break," with Matty Mullins of Memphis May Fire. And speaking of old touring, I remember seeing you guys open up for Memphis May Fire. God, has it been a few years now? Back at the Glass House.
Yeah, man. Hate that guy. Hate Matty. So I tell everybody everywhere we go, I'm always like, yeah, I hate that guy. But no, yeah, dude, he's the Memphis guys. We did that tour, and you know, friends before that, even better friends now. Some of the greatest people we know in the industry. And we're just always joking around. So it was really cool to have him to be a part of that song. And we shot the music video, and you didn't get to see all the behind the scenes stuff for the music video
Ah,
or the original. So when we shot the music video, the original idea was we were just going to make a joke out of it because that's all we do is just joke around all the time. And the joke was going to be is that Matty came into the studio while we were creating the song, and he was like showing us how to do it because we just didn't know how to do it. But when when we got the first take back of that happening, it just looked like Matty was a prick, and like we're watching it was like, yo, this is just making you look so bad, dude. Like it's so we had to switch it up and make it look like we were all just in the studio like hype and like excited about it. But the original video, which I'm sure is laying around somewhere, was great because Matty just looked like the worst person on the planet.
it's like
And if you know him, he's not. Like
no,
so yeah.
it
But
would
the
have been
joke
like
didn't hit.
it would have been like wrestling when they have the heel turn when the good guy turns to a bad guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the joke didn't hit, so we were really concerned that people wouldn't understand it. So we had to redo it. But
Love that tune. And talking about the deluxe edition coming, are you already starting to work on new music, or you still feel like the deluxe edition is going to let it breathe some more before turning the gears on new music?
yeah, I mean, the record at Blackout's got legs, and Barely Breathing still has legs, which is great. It's getting ready to hit top 10, which is phenomenal. And then the deluxe, we know that's going to have legs. It's going to bring a whole new wave of listeners in that haven't really listened to us before. That's going to give the original record more legs, So, but we never stop working. We're already writing, recording, man. We've already been in the studio, and ideally, I love to release as much music as soon as possible, but that's not my choice. So,
Right.
and I don't know when that's going to be when new music comes out after the deluxe, but I'm always pushing for it to be sooner than later.
Speaking of Blackout, the title, where did that come from? Usually album titles come from a song, but not in that case.
Yeah, so we did do that on a couple records where we used the song
Sure.
as a title, but it's always kind of been like a story, right? So like um you have Day One, which was our debut record, which was like, after the apocalypse. That was the imagery and the story behind that. And then you had The Future, which was after Day One, which was the future of the new world. And then Panic, which was a prequel to Day One.
Ah.
So Day One was the aftermath of the destruction. Panic is now setting up the destruction, which is then Blackout is right before the destruction, and I guess that kind of hints where we're going next.
Yeah, the destruction, the actual destruction.
That's right.
That's what we need next. I'm curious for you too, man. Like when you're making a record, is it because I know this is your baby since day one? Do you kind of look at it like a pat yourself on the back moment? Is it like, oh man, I wrote the best verse or threw down a great rap? Or is it the entire project and how the song comes out? Are you kind of like the master of how it all kind of comes out at the end because it's
Well,
your
I think we all are. I think that, you know, I mean, especially now. Early on, it was more so me, but now where it's more of a collaborative effort. Everyone in the band is super talented in multiple different areas. So, um, everyone lends their talents to the songs, and it makes them better songs. I am the guy with the most production and mix notes, though.
yeah.
So, like, I'm the guy who goes back with a fine tooth comb. You know, I lend a lot in the creative process, like you're saying, has been my baby since the beginning. So it's not necessarily about like I'm more of a team player. So like for me, it's about like putting the team together, making the team gel and work together, and then creating the best possible outcome of being a team. So nothing is an I moment for me. So you know, I could lay down the sickest rap verse there is, but if the song sucks, then I don't really care. You know what I mean?
Right.
So for me, it's about the fine tooth comb at the end, listening back to the track 100 times and going, you know, what little minute thing could change to make the listener not know that it changed because they didn't hear the original version,
Right.
but make it better. I always kind of err on the side of like people will listen to music and they'll either love it for a reason that they're unsure of, or they'll hate it for a reason they're unsure of. And you've got to be the person in this job in the producer seat. You've got to be the person that knows what that reason is that makes them love it or makes them hate it, and be able to identify that and do it the right way. And that's what I love doing.
And you've been playing some bass and guitar lately too. Where's that level at? Are you getting more comfortable? Are you ever going to bring that on stage, like playing bass on stage?
I've been playing bass on stage on this tour.
Oh,
Um,
killer.
yeah, I haven't, you know, I started playing when I was much younger. And that was like my main thing. Like in my previous bands, I play
Ah,
guitar. Um, and I got sloppy because like you know, like the first record, the EP, and some of the second record, I did most of the first stuff, all the guitar stuff. Second one, Lance was there, so I didn't really need to. And as I realized that Lance was there, and I didn't really need to, I kind of got sloppier over time because I'm like, Lance has got it. I don't need to do this anymore. Um, and it kind of makes me sad sometimes because I got guitars and stuff, and I look at them and I'm like, oh, I should pick you up and play you. And I'm like, I don't know,
rather
but I
right
love
than
them still.
wrong. Dude, appreciate all the time, Matt. Last couple things I wanted to hit you with, man. One of the things that I've always loved about your band is wearing your influences on your sleeve, and certainly a Linkin Park fan and Linkin Park covers.
Who? Never heard of
All
them.
these covers over the years and stuff during quarantine and all that. And I've had a little LP debate, album one versus album two. If you had to pick between Hybrid Theory or versus Meteora, if you had to pick one out of those two, which one would it be?
Meteora, man.
Yeah. Tell me why.
More
Tell me
polished record. I mean, listen, I mean, it's neck and neck, right? I mean, like they're both absolutely incredible records. Um, Again, going back to what I said about fine tooth comb and finding all those little things, Meteor is a little bit more polished, but still has that raw feel. Hybrid Theory is very raw, which is beautiful on its own. I think Nirvana has proven a point in the past about raw and how well it can do. And there's a lot of other artists I could sit here and give you an entire list, especially from that era.
yeah.
Um, but Meteor, dude, like there's just something about the songwriting on that record that is just top notch, top
Yeah.
notch.
They really found their space and zone, and obviously had all the touring behind them on the first record. So, I
Yep.
mean, it's obviously going to be a lot more gelled by the time the second record comes out.
Which is impressive too, because like, you think about like the first record, especially in that era, and the amount of success that it had immediately out the gate. Like that's a lot of pressure. Not only is it a lot of pressure, it's a lot of they don't have a lot of time because they're so busy. Like media wants them and touring, and you know, of course they've got lives, at least a little bit probably, right? So like to be able to come out with a record that I believe is their best record they've ever made, um, as their you know sophomore record, that's not a lot of artists can do that, man.
No, and they always talk about the sophomore slump and how that can happen,
Yep.
and they completely avoided that. Interesting with them too, man. And just hypothetically, there's been that rumor out there about them going back out with a female in Chester's role, and be curious how that would you be into that? Would you, hypothetically speaking, if they were to reform with a woman in that role, would you be into it?
I don't feel one way or the other. I don't think. I don't think I really. I mean, it's cool that they'll play their songs and like they're in a band and like, of course, like when you're in a band and you're on stage, there's no other feeling. So I don't fault them for wanting to get back out there and do it, man. Like that's, that's the life. And the unfortunate circumstances of what happened,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe someone could have saw it coming, maybe they didn't, but I mean, of course they've got, they had to deal with that, and that affects their lives as well. So, and then I'm on the other side of it, is like, kind of like, well, it's not Chester, you know what I mean? So it's like, so I see it from both angles. That's why I'm kind of like indifferent. I'm just like, whatever, whatever they feel is best. It's their band. They can do with their band what they want to do with their band, and I guess I'll be here for it regardless. So
Is it hard not to be like trying to raise Danny's hand and being like, yo, you want the guy that could do that role?
he's ours, brother. If he wants to go out there and do a tour, I got nothing against it. But we're starting to make some serious waves out here, man. We're watching our ticket counts go from quadruple what they were a year ago to hopefully they're quadruple. If they're quadruple next year where they are right now, brother, we'll be in arenas.
Yeah.
So that's just crazy to think about. So Danny's ours. He can stay here.
Last thing I got for you, Matt. One other little music thing. We're an old school radio station. We do a feature called Mandatory Metallica every night at 10 p.m., which you're going to be a part of. Are you a Metallica fan? Do you get that heavy, that old school?
I mean, I grew up on it, man. You know what I mean? Like my sister's just jamming it while I was listening to hip hop back when Metallica was, really doing the thing,
Right.
and maybe a little after, right? Because if I say Reload, people are like, well, they were doing the thing before Reload, and then, you know what I mean? And the big Metallica fans will start getting on me, you know what I mean? So, but I was listening to hip hop, but it was always around me, always. And my sister's a metalhead, and all that stuff. So, so yeah, I mean, I know a lot of their stuff.
So another little music debate then, going to their thrashier old school side, like Ride the Lightning, their second album versus Master of Puppets, their third album. Do you have a favorite out of those two?
Probably Ride the Lightning.
Ooh, okay. Tell me why.
Yeah,
Tell me
but
why.
people are gonna hate. Okay, I don't want people to hate me, but I don't know enough about them to where I could tell you every song on every record.
Sure.
Okay, and I only know certain songs, and I hope I'm right in saying this because I think that I am. But I really like "For Whom the Bell Tolls," and that's on "Ride the Lightning,"
It
correct?
is correct. Correct. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so that's why. But I mean, like, I was a kid when Reload. Like, I go back to Reload. Like, Reload's the record I know the most of, probably in the Bat and the Black album. Like, I know those records the most because those are the ones that were like played in my house over and over and over. I can't tell you how many times I heard, "Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire." You know what I mean? Like, I heard it over and over and over and over. So those are the ones that I know the most. But like, yeah, "For Whom the Bell Tolls" is such a killer song.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, do you have a song we could play for you? Do you have a request for Mandatory Metallica? Would it be "For Whom the Bell Tolls"? Would it be "Fuel"? Would it be something
You
else?
gotta play Fuel, man. You gotta play it. Gotta give me one more. Give me one more, brother.
I
But Master of Puppets is sick though, dude. Like the song itself is like,
epic.
what movie is it? Is that in? Is that Airheads? What movie is that in?
It's in Stranger Things more recently.
I know that, but it was in. I feel like no, it was in Old School
Oh,
when
maybe.
they're riding in the van and they go to kidnap the pledges for the fraternity. They're like jamming Master of Puppets, dude, and they're just like they got what like stockings on their face, like pantyhose on their face, and they're like kidnapping these dudes that have no business being in a fraternity, like, and they're just jamming Master of Puppets. Like, perfect scene ever. It's so crazy.
Beautiful, man. Thank you so much for the time, and can't wait for the tour.
Hell yeah, man. We'll see you soon.
See
You're
ya.
gonna be there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, man. We'll see you there.
See you there, Matt. Thanks.
All right, later, brother.